With the Trails series spanning numerous entries across multiple arcs, new players often ask where to begin. Traditionally, the answer has been the Trails in the Sky trilogy, though until now, the West only had access via PSP and later PC releases. Those versions were showing their age, whilst the PS Vita Evolution port never received an official localization. Falcom has now addressed this with a full remake of Trails in the Sky First Chapter, released worldwide across modern platforms. This marks not only a technical update, but also a chance to revisit the origins of one of the most acclaimed RPG series of the past 2 decades. The story takes place in Zemuria, a continent transformed by the Orbal Revolution, a technological breakthrough that advanced both civilian life and military power. To maintain order amid growing conflict, the Bracer Guild was founded, an organisation of mediators and protectors. In the Libel Kingdom, Cassius Bright is a legendary bracer. When he returns home one day with a boy named Joshua, his daughter Estelle bonds with him and the 2 children grow up together as a family. 5 years later, Estelle and Joshua begin their own journey to become bracers. Their path quickly becomes more complicated when Cassius departs on an airship that mysteriously vanishes, and rumours suggest that neighbouring Erebonia may be involved. Determined to uncover the truth, Estelle and Joshua set out on a journey that begins with odd jobs around town and soon expands into wide investigation of political intrigue and looming conflict. Standard stuff for 14-year-olds in a JRPG. The narrative is character-driven and expansive. Even the prologue on its own can stretch to over 10 hours, which sets the tone for a story that values world-building, dialogue, and immersion. Whilst being admittedly lengthy, it remains one of the series' defining qualities. A richly detailed world where NPCs evolve with the story, and side quests provide both gameplay and narrative depth. One of the most notable aspects of this remake is the new localization. The original English version was handled by Xseed Games for PC, but this remake features a completely new translation overseen by publisher Gung Ho. Comparisons reveal significant differences, not only in dialogue phrasing, but also in subtle shifts to character personalities. This likely reflects adjustments made to the Japanese script itself to maintain consistency with later Trails titles. While fans of the original Xseed localization may miss out on some nostalgia, the remake benefits from fully voiced English and Japanese audio. In English, the original voice actors from Trails of Cold Steel 4 and Trails into Reverie reprise their roles, including Johnny Yongbosch as Joshua. The Japanese version, however, recasts most roles compared to the Evolution port. The new performances remain faithful to character intent, and overall voice work is strong in both languages. Minor typos in the script are present, but not at all disruptive. The remake updates combat by adopting the hybrid system introduced in Trails Through Daybreak. Players can engage enemies in real time with action combos, then seamlessly switch to traditional turn-based command battles at any moment. This flexibility allows encounters to be approached in multiple ways, accommodating both series veterans and newcomers alike. The orbment system remains faithful to the original design. Players equip quartz into slots to determine the arts, which are spells that each character can use, with elemental combinations unlocking different abilities. Some slots are restricted to specific elements, which adds some light strategic considerations. Compared to later Trails games, the system here is relatively simple, but it remains intuitive and effective as a foundation to build on. The original game featured 3 difficulty modes: normal, hard, and nightmare. Later ports added an easy option, but this remake expands even further with very easy mode. When combined with high speed mode for faster battles and fast travel for reducing backtracking, the remake has introduced some huge quality of life improvements without compromising the core design of the game. Grinding is rarely necessary as progression is nice and steady through normal play. These adjustments just make the game more approachable, but still preserve the challenge for anyone who wishes to seek it out. Though not an open world RPG, Trails in the Sky encourages really thorough exploration. The world is absolutely filled with side quests, optional dialogue, and evolving NPC interactions. Towns and dungeons are dense with detail, and progression often involves returning to earlier locations, which makes fast travel especially valuable. The sheer amount of content, even in the prologue, just goes to demonstrate Falcom's commitment to scale and immersion. Every region feels connected to a larger political and cultural fabric of Libel, and it establishes the narrative depth that the Trails series is ultimately known for. The remake refreshes the game visually, though it retains its distinct style rather than aiming for hyperrealism. Environments, character models, and combat animations are sharper and more fluid, whilst maintaining the charm of the original's aesthetic. In audio, both the English and Japanese voice acting is strong, and the returning English cast in particular really helps to maintain continuity with later entries. The soundtrack, already regarded as one of Falcom's strengths, remains atmospheric, with energetic battle themes and serene town melodies. Combined with the extensive voice work, the presentation here is a clear upgrade over prior releases. The remake of Trails in the Sky First Chapter successfully modernizes a classic without losing what made it special. Between its hybrid combat system, quality of life upgrades, full voice acting, and new localization, it offers the definitive way to experience the story that began the Trails saga. While some might miss the XE translation and the augment system may feel simple compared to later entries, these are minor caveats in a polished and accessible package. Maybe most importantly, this is now the most convenient entry point for newcomers to the series, with no need to rely on outdated or region-locked versions. Falcom has finally ensured that Trails in the Sky can be experienced by a global audience in its best form to date. For anyone who is curious about the series, this remake is the place to begin. So overall, Trails in the Sky First Chapter gets from Game Tips a 9 out of 10. With its smooth performance on the PS5, so much content to explore and enjoy, and its charming cast of characters. There are some small localization and typos and mistakes. The prologue may be a little bit long for some people, and you're going to see the same NPCs come up way too many times. But outside of that, this is a game to go out and pick up right now if you have any interest in Trails of the Sky. Thanks so much for joining us for another review over here on Game Tips. This video was adapted from a written review by Angelus Victor. If you'd like to read more of Angelus's work, if you would like to read our other reviews, check out our game guides, keep up to date on the latest gaming news, then first, over here, give us a subscribe, maybe a like, maybe some comments, however you're feeling, and then head over and join us on gametips.gg, and we'll see you next time.